So how are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Feels very weird to be sitting
It's
here.
being
Yeah.
interviewed. Do you feel you're under the spotlight?
No, I feel opposite because it's you.
Okay.
But
Fully
yeah.
relaxed.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome guys back to a Naijaman's perspective, and I have a very special, extra special guest with me on today's episode. The New York Times best-selling author, Dr. Abi Daré. Hey! Royalty in the building. Royalty in the
That is
building.
quite an intro.
Guys, this is my baby sister. And I'm extremely proud of her. Extremely proud of her. This is our first interview ever.
I know, it's very weird. Very weird. I don't know what you're going to ask me. I don't even know why I'm here, sitting here. Yes, thank you. I love your YouTube channel. I'm a subscriber.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the feeling is mutual. So guys, I was at Abby's house. I call her Akbero, but she's Abby. Abby to everybody. Abby. So we'll keep consistent with the theme. So I was at Abby's house for a few days. Our mom was in town, and the thought just came to my mind that I have a platform. You have several platforms, of course. Why don't we talk about you? Let's talk about your journey. Let's celebrate you. You have done so many incredible things over the years in your writing. But let's get back to the beginning. I was there as part of the journey, and it has been quite a journey. And the journey will continue to flourish as it has been. But yeah, tell the people, tell the viewers what growing up was like and how that linked to your writing today.
So we grew up in Lagos. It's interesting because when I think about it,
we grew up. We hear that, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Please continue.
We grew up in Lagos, but it's interesting because there's like a 5-year gap between us. So that meant that when I was in year 1, primary 1, you were like at the end of primary school.
Yes.
So we were never like in the same thing, but it was fun for me. I think if I want to relate it to writing, I think I was that what Nigerians call amebo, gist carrier.
So amebo, guys, I'm just going to be translating a bit. Amebo is gossip.
Yes.
You guys know many of you are gossips.
Putting it,
so you know what that means, right?
I was that child that had everybody's gist and would, share with mom, share with you whenever we had the opportunities to share. And I think that sort of writing became an outlet. I began to journal at a very young age. And interestingly, mom brought some of my journals.
Really?
Yeah. She found an album. It was a photo album I'd written paper and sort of stuck into the sleeves of the album.
Anything exciting?
I don't remember, but I was laughing. I remember laughing.
Was anybody your target in the
journal? Yeah, there are plenty. But you were alive. So I don't want to come and look for me.
We shared offline. Let's.
Yes, I think it was from there. Storytelling has always been a part of me. From listening to people's stories and rewriting it, regurgitating it into writing, and then progressing into fiction. When I came to the UK in 2001, I started blogging. I had a blog, just pouring out my heart as to what it felt like being an immigrant at the time, and just not understanding the culture, expectations of the culture.
That's in the UK.
In the UK, yes. The weather, the food, like where my Niger peeps at.
The people.
It was just really weird. And so I began to document my feelings in the blog, but I didn't realize that the blog was not anonymous. I thought it was. I my own limited intelligence at the time. But then it went what you call viral now. I think one day I turned to the back end and I saw we had well over 1 million views.
Wow.
And that was scary. I wasn't ready for that kind of fame. So I stopped blogging. But then I thought the gift and the desire to keep writing was so imbibed in me that I decided to start writing fiction, and that's how we started. Yeah.
Wow, interesting story.
Yeah.
So that journey from being a child with a curious mind, jotting and documenting your journals to now getting to the UK looking at everyone and the experiences. So would you say you're the kind of person that you soak in the atmosphere of where you are?
Absolutely.
And that ties to my next question in terms of, does that help you with your creative process?
Absolutely. I would, I remember some of my most popular blog posts were the ones that I detailed. I think I remember one of my most popular ones actually was my first time at the gym. And how I fell off the treadmill because I refused to. They asked if I needed help, and I was like, I got this. And then all of a sudden, the treadmill was lifting me off the floor, and I was hurtling across the air and landing on my butt. So, but I soak in all those experiences. Another one that was quite popular was the first time I got my eyebrow threaded, and the pain, the intense pain, and just documenting that. So I am that kind of person. I soak in people, I soak in the atmosphere. And I write, I very much write like I'm seeing the scene play out in front of me, which is very weird, but I would step by step detail what I'm seeing behind my mind.
So vivid imagination.
It's quite vivid.
360 view.
Yeah, absolutely. Which can be scary sometimes. But yeah, quite an overactive imagination, I would say.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So viewers, you can see that there are two books in front of us. I'm going to start with the first one.
Yeah.
The New York Times best-selling book, The Girl with the Louding Voice, critical acclaim, commercial success, touched a lot of lives, published in 20 countries. Super, super, super proud of you. So guys, this is the book. The Girl with the Louding Voice.
That's the US version, yeah.
That's the US version. Still available. Abi, do you want to tell us a little bit about this book before we go to the latest one, which is the current version out for sale?
So The Girl with the Louding Voice is a story of a 14-year-old girl called Adoni, who is semi-literate, who is witty, feisty, the most lovable character that I've ever created personally. And she has a deep desire for an education, but she has to overcome so many obstacles, including becoming the third wife of a local man in her village, escaping that, going to Lagos to become a housemaid. And all through all this, she never wavers in her desire and her passion for getting an education. And this really her story, is her journey. But it's also the story of the characters that she meets. It's a beautiful story of resilience and the power of believing in your dreams and not giving up, which is where the title comes from. She believes an education will give her a louding voice, essentially, to make an impact, which I believe that we're all on earth. I think is an obligation on every one of us to aspire to make an impact, to touch the next life that you come across. It should be a daily mission to touch the next life positively.
Oh, thank you very much. And how have you dealt with how do you feel when you got the email or the letter or the phone call that you were in New York? I remember when you told me about it, but
I can't remember. I called you, obviously. I must have called you.
You called me.
And was I screaming? Or...
Yeah, I had to put the phone. I was like, my ear is paining me. What's going on? But you were like screaming and like super, super excited.
I was
excited for you as well. But how did you feel from your own voice? It was so
surreal. It was so surreal. And I think because, I have goosebumps now. Because you don't expect these kind of things. You don't go into... I didn't. I'm not one of those writers that I don't think I ever will be, who thinks that they've arrived or whatever it is. So I didn't feel like I've arrived. Yes, there was a moment of, yes, this has finally happened. But it just felt, I got a call from my agent in the middle of the night. And again, first of all, your phone is ringing at midnight and it's your agent. You're thinking, what on earth have I done? What have I done here?
What do you think it was bad news?
I don't even know what... I was just thinking, why is she calling me at this time? And I was, she was like, I know it's late, but we just got the news, and you hit the New York Times. And this is a debut.
And America is behind.
Yes. So they had just received. I was like, it was like a muffled screaming because the kids had school in the morning. And I think one of them even woke up and said, Mommy, what is it? What's the problem? What is going on? Like, that's good news.
Is there a burglar in the house?
Yeah, I know. It was so exciting. I was so excited. I cried. I thanked God. I, told family, and I called mom. My mom was like, what was that? What does that mean? I was like, don't worry. Just, it's great news. But then I've had moments to reflect, and I feel so grateful because I know it's not the conventional story. I feel very blessed. I've had a lot of grace, a lot of warmth and love from the readers. The character, I remember that thinking that who on earth is going to read this? It's written in non-standard English. How would it be accepted? And it just completely blows my mind. Blows my mind. Not just the fact that it hit the New York Times bestseller list or all the good stuff you said. What blows my mind, and I share this quite often with you, are some of the personal stories. What people say to me, how
so like in your DMs,
in my DMs, or when I meet people and people really share really, really deep, heartfelt feedback and relate it to their own lives and their stories. You cannot connect the dots. And I love to give a lot of advice, and I'll throw in advice here is that if you're here and there's something that you're doing and you think you're not great at it, or you think that the world is not going to accept it, you cannot connect the dots. You can't see the end from the beginning. Just put it out there, because you never know. Yeah, those are my 2 seconds of.
So if you got something, just put it out there. That's it. Just put it out there. What do you have to lose?
A few rejections.
Yeah.
Door slammed in your face.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything to you.
Just keep going.
Keep going.
No. Absolutely. Yeah. So candid words. So now the second book, which is new, came out I think a couple of weeks ago, and So I Roar. This is Dr. Abi Daré.
This doctor you're calling me.
People. Her latest book. Now, my question is this related in any way to The Girl with the Louding Voice, or it's a standalone?
It works both ways. So it follows immediately, I think about a week after Aduni leaves Big Madam's house in the first book. So it follows on from The Girl with the Louding Voice.
Right.
But it could be read as a standalone novel. It took a lot out of me to write this book. It's a book that I wrote dealing with grief while I was personally dealing with grief. But also it was really incredibly difficult to write. But it's a powerful book. It makes you cry. I've heard that quite a lot. You grab the tissues ready. But it's also a book of resilience, about the power of sisterhood, of speaking up against injustice. And the world we're in today is full of injustice. And this is just a book that, just back to answer your question, it could be read as a standalone quite perfectly well, but I would always advise that you read The Girl with the Louding Voice first, because they just work beautifully together.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And you touched on a couple of themes there about injustice. Guys, the book is available online and in bookstores. Incredible book, incredible continuation of The Girl with the Louding Voice, which is amazing as well. And this book touched on several themes. You talked about injustice, covered FGM, covered a few other, I don't want to give it up. Guys, go and buy it now. Why should I tell you? Go and buy it. Go and buy it. So it covers those themes.
Yeah.
And how was that for you, writing about these themes? Were you aware of how potent these themes are in 2024? As it came out in 2024, but I assume it took you a couple of months or years to write it. So, but these themes still continue till today. How did that make you feel doing the research and thinking these things still exist and to this magnitude?
Yeah, it's really hard. Shocking. At first, it's shocking, and then after a while, it just sort of that shock. I don't know whether to call it intensifies. It probably intensifies to rage and anger that these things still happen. I came across somebody's Instagram post about a very educated man who's based in the UK. I don't know what their nationality is, but he was advocating for his young girl to be taken back to wherever they've come from originally, to have her, go through some of these practices that I talk about in this book. And this was in 2024. I came across this post. And every time I question myself, or I second guess, or my confidence wavers as to why I've written about such heavy themes, something just comes up to sort of say to me, Abi, you're doing the right thing. And I always say this, that if one girl can be saved through some of the work that I've done with this book, and it's not just me, there's so many of us that are speaking up in different ways, then I feel like I've done my job. And for me, it's for that one girl.
No, brilliant. Thank you. And taking you back to what you said you wrote it when you were grieving. So do you want to share a little bit about that? I know it's something that we both shared together. So we lost our father last year. Incredibly difficult time and painful time and sad. Lots of reflections, lot of feelings, emotions going through our heads. Do you want to talk about that as much as you can and how it impacted And So I Roar? Because why I asked that question is the first book, you were not dealing with any grief. The second book, you were. I was dealing with the grief, but I didn't write the book. So she should answer the question. But I mean, share as much as you can.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't just one. I personally lost more than one person, as you know. So two people from my husband's side, and then dad.
That's true.
With dad, I think I was. So we had a unique relationship with dad, right? He wasn't in our lives. And
yes,
for a long time, I processed that as if he wasn't alive. Like it was easier to deal with for me to imagine that he was gone. And then when he came back and called and apologized, that was difficult because it was easier to deal. You know, when you're thinking, I haven't heard from this man, so you kind of like I compartmentalized that feeling. He's gone. Yes, there were many, many moments where I wished that he was in our lives, in my life. You walked me down the aisle with granduncle.
Yes.
That was hard. And so many other key moments in my life. And so when I was writing And So I Roar, one of the characters, Tia, she's dealing with a relationship with her mother, and they don't have a very good relationship. And so I kind of maybe was trying to process. Dad was still alive at that time. So I was trying to write through that, just trying to figure out what Tia, and I don't know if I went in enough through Tia's character, the character in this book. But then in the middle of editing the book, you called me while I was writing the book, and you said, let's go see Dad. It was just out of the blue.
Yes.
Maybe I should ask you, why did you do that? I know you said to me, you said to me what you said. Well, what made you pick up the phone?
For me, it was spiritual. It was spiritual. I was in front of the mirror and there was just this loud voice that just, I didn't hear it, but
inside of you,
loud voice in my spirit that said, go and see your father.
Oh my gosh.
And I argued with the voice. And I said, but he didn't do this, but he didn't do that. And the voice said, I know all that. And I'm not arguing with you, but go and see your father. Just do as I've asked. And I knew it wasn't an uncle, it wasn't a mom, it wasn't a friend, it wasn't a pastor. It could only be from the Almighty. And I decided that I was going to listen. And this voice was during COVID. Yes, but I heard it more than once.
You've never told me that.
Yeah. Guys, you're in for a treat. So it's
we've not seen Dad since 19. What year was it for you?
Probably for me, it's probably 97.
97.
It's been a very long time.
Oh my gosh.
So it's been, So, and then I ignored the voice. And I'm telling you for the first time, I ignored the voice, but then I heard the voice again. And I knew that I had to do, it was a call to action. It was almost like if I ignored it, I'll regret it. There was something that wasn't going to be there. Closure and everything. So I called you.
You called me.
Yes.
And I take your call and I hang up and I'm pissed. What's this? Why? Why is he, if he wants to go, right? But I didn't say that to you on the phone. But I hang up and I'm thinking and I'm saying to my husband and I'm saying, no. Like I don't verbalize the no. But I say to him, Yemi just called and he said this. End of conversation. Like I said in a tone that suggested, this is not up for discussion. I'm just giving you the information. But then quietly, as you know my husband's ways, he's quite, quiet in his ways. He comes to me much later and he says, are you going to regret it if he dies and you don't see him? And I have no words. I write about this in The Observer. I think he came out last week. I have no words for that question because I'm scared of the response. Because I'm thinking, if you go, you see that alone, and he dies, I would never forgive myself.
And there's no opportunity. There's no more.
It's so final, right?
Death is final.
So we go.
May so rest in peace.
So we go to Lagos. And how was it for you seeing him? I remember I told you that I felt.
For me, it was surreal. It was older, frail.
First time in like 30 years.
Quiet, not as chatty.
Reflective.
But it was still chatty. He talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, his farm.
Nigerian government. Ever-present theme. Yeah, but it was great seeing him. He
said I looked just like mom.
Yes, he said
when she was my age.
Yeah. It was great seeing him. We had
so much time.
He and I chatted about a little bit about the Nigerian army, the political situation, and it was.
It was hard for me.
Yes, it wasn't.
I wanted
for
more.
me. It was surreal for me. It was like I was just thinking, is this happening? Is this happening? Is this?
I was thinking I wanted more.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like I wanted to unpack all these years and lay it at his feet and say.
Yes, I don't answer questions.
Yes.
But yes, those questions.
And then we get the call that he's gone.
Yeah.
And he's gone. That's it. So,
Yeah, the grieving part was hard. It was very hard. It was grieving the person I knew and grieving the person that I hadn't seen in such a long time of what could have been. But also, I think I was comforted that
you saw him.
I saw him. He was peaceful. He had made peace.
He prayed for us.
He prayed for us.
Father's blessing.
Yes. So there were a lot of takeaways. And I mean, the point you raised about if we hadn't seen him, if I hadn't seen him, it would have been worse for me. Because I was the one that got the.
Yeah.
I was the one that was hearing the voices.
You should write a book called The Voice.
Yeah. So it was me that God gave the instruction. The Almighty gave me the instruction and do this.
Yeah.
It's not up for debate. So for me, it would have been more painful.
So what would you say to somebody that has an estranged parent and is dealing with unresolved issues and it's been so long? Are you suggesting? What would you say? Pick up the phone because you never know? Make peace? Leave it to just...
You know, these things are very individual. And people... I mean, it took me quite a long time. People... So it will be...
You have to be ready.
Sanctimonious for me to say, pick up the phone. But why didn't you pick up the phone, the next day? So it's difficult. And people handle situations differently. However... What I know, without a shadow of a doubt, is that when that person goes, it doesn't matter whether you were close or you were from far. They're family. And the best thing is to be able to pick up the call. But the advice I'll probably give is at your own time. But again, I'd just like to say here that, when you make peace and when you forgive, a lot of the time it's actually about you.
Yes.
There's a peace and finality that you get from the process. And it closes things. Yes, there may still be some questions unanswered, but we live in this world. Do we even have all the questions answered in this world? The answer is no. So you may not have all the questions also answered from a relationship, whatever the relationship is. But what it allows you to do when you do get to that point is it gives you closure. And it definitely gave me closure. So that's what I would advise But like I said, you know, at your own time, do it at your own time.
Yeah, but that was that.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
any other questions for me?
yeah. So, what's next? What's next? So before saying before the not what's next question, where can people maybe get the book, and do you want to talk about maybe some of the places you're scheduled to go in the next maybe?
Oh gosh,
you have like 300 places.
Yeah, that's hard to rattle off on the top of my head. But the books are available where all good books are sold, and do please read it and share your wonderful thoughts only about it. No, read it, and you know, whatever you feel about it, just please read it. And when you really think of girls like Aduni, think of girls that are out there, girls that you may not hear about or hear from. They're real, they exist, and their voices deserve to be amplified.
Excellent. So I have two more questions for you.
Yep.
So as the writing of the first book or the second book, has that spurred you to do something additional for the girl child?
Yes.
Please talk about it. Talk about it.
So we have a foundation of which you are. We have the Louding Voice Education and Empowerment Foundation, which you are a part of.
Yes, I am.
You know,
yeah.
And what we want to do, our dreams, our goals are huge. We want to take girls off the streets from hawking, getting married early, and whatever else it is that these girls are exposed to, the dangers, and put them back in schools, but also empower them through apprenticeships and trainings and opportunities for them to really become who they were created to become. It's very early days.
Yes.
We're not even crawling yet. We're literally just, you know, we've just been born.
Initial stages. I would say.
But I'm excited for the future, for the foundation. I have so much to do. We have so much to give.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that we can look back one day and say that we made some girls smile.
One girl at a time, she said, and you know, empowerment, education, and looking at areas to.
Please follow us on Instagram,
yes,
the Louding Voice Foundation.
Instagram, the Louding Voice Foundation. One last question: what's next? I know it's. I know about the process. So I know these two.
You say what?
It's like 5.5 years. Abi, am I
close? Yeah. This is, you know. More books.
I won't be doing a great interview if I didn't ask what's next.
Absolutely. It's more books by God's grace.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. It's really just that this is one of those careers that it's bittersweet. You know, when the writing process is going well, it's beautiful. When it's not, it's excruciatingly painful. And it's one of those things that I can't get away from it because I'm compelled to write. The times I wish, you know the story of how I tried to sell shoes and I tried to do so much. I was like, I'm done with this writing. This thing, leave me. But it wouldn't leave me alone. So yes, I'm here, for.
So like a halo on your neck, like on your head, like you must write. You must write.
I've got to. It's not always an easy thing to do, but I love it. Absolutely love it. It's such a gift. Yeah. So.
Absolutely, and the reception has been mind blowing. And like you said, the personal messages, the personal touches has been incredible. Guys, this has been an amazing interview.
We did it.
My normal PSA that I do, subscribe, like, I even forgot, but people, you must subscribe, you must you must share, follow on IG, follow me on IG as well, in Naijaman's Perspective. I had an incredible time interviewing you.
Thank you,
baby sis.
Yep.
Keep soaring, as your book says, and so I
raw.
Keep soaring and roaring. They are still the same.
It's all the same thing.
I had a blast. Thank you so much
for having
honoring me and being on my show. And guys, I'll see you in the next one.